Time now for our GMA Pride Month Spotlight honoring LGBTQ stories and accomplishments all month long. This week, we are bringing it to the ballroom. 10 Hollywood stars who hid they were gay until the day they died. For decades, they were the ideal image of masculinity, riding horses through the desert, firing guns with chilling precision, then passionately kissing sultry starlets on the big screen. But few knew, in real life, some of them had never even held a woman's hand, never dated, never had a love scandal, because the person they truly loved was a man. Some lived quietly with their boyfriends for 55 years, yet all of Hollywood only dared call them close managers. Some died of AIDS, but back then the press could only report it as a severe case of pneumonia. Others left behind hundreds of love letters to their co-partners, but the moment they passed away, their families burned every trace of evidence, leaving only one final command: no one must ever know. Why the secrecy? Because even a single leaked photo showing affection could shred contracts to pieces, turn directors against them, get roles cut, and destroy an entire career overnight. Hollywood could make them icons, but wouldn't hesitate to bury them the moment the truth came out. In this video, we'll take you deep into the darkest backstage corners of the movie capital, where 10 stars carried the greatest secret of their lives to the grave. Paul Newman, the love letters never sent. Behind those dazzling blue eyes that once made the whole world pause for a few seconds whenever they appeared on screen, Paul Newman carried silences no one ever expected. A man with a flawless exterior, a cinematic legend, yet he spent his entire life with things he could never say out loud. In the summer of 1955, when Paul Newman first stepped into the spotlight of Hollywood, people said he had it all: looks, talent, and a wide-open future ahead. But around that same time, during the filming of East of Eden, something else began. A quiet relationship between him and James Dean, the reserved colleague who often got lost in thought, was once witnessed by a member of the makeup team. They weren't public, but they didn't fully hide it either. They often took morning walks together, sitting for long hours in the dressing room, even after the crew had left. Dean's manager later kept some behind-the-scenes pictures he claimed could be used if needed, and from that moment, invisible limits began to appear in Paul's contracts clauses, forbidding him from forming close personal relationships with male co-stars outside of filming hours. Everything was framed as image protection, but only those involved truly understood what it meant. In the early 1970s, a small wooden cabin in the Sundance Mountains of Utah began drawing attention from real estate circles. The owner was listed as an anonymous figure, but only one regular visitor ever came by Robert Redford. They said Redford showed up once a month, always driving alone, no bodyguards, no fanfare. A neighbor from across the slope once recalled seeing the two men sitting together on the porch, talking endlessly under the autumn sunset. They weren't just ordinary friends, and they had never been strangers. That relationship endured in near silence, but was so deeply bonded that no one dared question it. Joanne Woodward, the wife, often referred to as Paul's right hand and safe haven, for over 50 years, never spoke publicly about the rumors. But years later, a crew manager from the film Winning revealed that Joanne had once requested the firing of a lighting assistant just 3 days into the job, after she accidentally found him alone with Paul in the dressing room during non-filming hours. No argument, no confrontation. Joanne simply told the director one sentence: "If he stays, I can't continue." Everything was handled quietly, just as every scandal in Hollywood often gets extinguished before it ever ignites. In 1985, after Rock Hudson publicly revealed he had AIDS, Paul Newman once drafted a personal note preparing for a major interview with Barbara Walters. He had planned to share a piece of truth he'd kept hidden for too long, that he had once loved a man, and that love had completely changed how he saw life. But just hours before, the taping legal representatives from the studio he was working with showed up unexpectedly holding an image clause. The interview was canceled. No one ever said why, but everyone in the industry understood. A medical staffer who once worked at Warner Brothers recalled Paul Newman coming in suffering from exhaustion, chronic insomnia, and needing a heavy sedative, usually prescribed for major depressive episodes. What stood out was that his hospital records were labeled top secret. No journalist ever found out. Not a single word reached the press. Everything was kept absolutely silent. Joanne passed away a few years before Paul. After her death, the family opened a small safe that she had always kept private. Inside were a few personal papers and 6 handwritten letters neatly placed in envelopes labeled "Dean to Paul, keep safe." Strangely, in the lower corner of each letter was a handwritten RH in black ink, which close family friends confirmed stood for Rock Hudson. It appeared Rock had held on to those letters for a long time before eventually passing them on to Joanne. No one knows what the letters said, as the family chose not to release their contents. But their mere existence was enough to open a shadowed corner in the life of a man the world thought it knew. The marriage between Paul and Joanne, once seen as the epitome of artistic love, in truth began with a contract. According to a document leaked years later, 20th Century Fox had required Newman to marry within 18 months of signing his exclusive contract if he wanted to remain a leading star. And Joanne, who had stood by him since his early days, was the perfect choice, both in love and in public image. They did love each other, but they were also required to become the model couple under the spotlight. A candid photo, taken in 2008, just weeks before Paul Newman passed away, once circulated among a private group of photographers. In the image, Paul and Robert Redford sat across from each other at a small diner in Connecticut. Paul's hand rested gently on Robert's, and though their eyes said little, the photo left viewers breathless. The very next day, the image was bought by a third party and has never appeared in any newspaper since. Paul Newman left this world with dozens of stories still unresolved. Some secrets were buried forever, but some traces still remain waiting for the day they can be pieced together.